the bakery, Sweet Surrender, always smelled of warm sugar and cinnamon, a comforting aroma that drew me in like a moth to a flickering flame. It wasn't just the pastries, though they were undeniably divine, but the anticipation of seeing him that made my Saturday mornings so special. His name was Alex, and he worked behind the counter. He had this easy smile, like sunshine breaking through a cloudy sky, and his laugh was infectious, the kind that made you want to laugh along even if you didn't know what was funny. He always remembered my order, a blueberry muffin and a small latte, extra foam, and we'd chat about silly things, like the weather, which was always unpredictable, the crazy antics of our pets. He had a golden retriever named Max. I had a mischievous tabby cat named Luna, or the latest book we were reading. It started with just friendly banter, casual conversations about the day's specials or the new window display. But soon, I found myself looking forward to Saturdays more than any other day of the week. My heart would do a little flip when I saw him, his smile directed at me, and I'd spend the rest of the week replaying our conversations in my head, analyzing every word, every glance. I started trying new hairstyles, just in case he noticed. I even bought a new scarf, a bright blue one, because I knew blue was his favorite color. I'd overheard him mention it to a customer once, a fleeting comment that I had somehow committed to memory. I even started lingering longer, pretending to browse the cookbooks near the counter, just to steal a few extra moments of his attention. One particularly dreary, rainy Saturday, the bakery was unusually quiet. The only other customers were a couple huddled in a corner, whispering sweet nothings, and an elderly gentleman engrossed in his newspaper. Alex and I ended up talking for almost an hour. We talked about our dreams, his of becoming a writer, mine of opening my own art studio. We talked about our families, his close-knit, mine scattered across the country. We talked about our favorite books. He loved classic literature, I was more into contemporary fiction. He even showed me some of his poems, tucked away in a small notebook he carried with him everywhere. They were beautiful, filled with raw emotion and vivid imagery. I was completely captivated, drawn into his world of words and feelings. That day, as the rain pattered against the window panes and the scent of warm bread filled the air, something shifted inside me. It wasn't just a crush anymore. It was deeper, stronger, more intense. I was falling, head over heels, irrevocably, in love with Alex. Over the next few weeks, I tried to play it cool, to maintain the facade of casual friendship, but my feelings were bubbling to the surface, threatening to spill over at any moment. I'd bring him little gifts, a bookmark with a quote from his favorite author, a bag of his favorite coffee beans, a slightly darker roast than the one the bakery used, a small, hand-painted ceramic mug for his latte. He always seemed genuinely touched by these small gestures, his smile even brighter than usual, his eyes crinkled at the corners. He'd thank me profusely, making me feel like I'd given him the most precious gift in the world. One day, fueled by a mixture of hope and fear, I decided to be brave, to take a leap of faith. I wrote him a letter. I poured my heart out onto the page, telling him how I felt, how he made me feel, the butterflies in my stomach, the way my heart skipped a beat whenever he looked at me, the way his laughter filled my world with sunshine. I was terrified, my hands shaking as I wrote, but I knew I had to be honest with myself, and with him. I left the letter on the counter when he wasn't looking, during a brief lull in customers, my hands trembling as I slipped it beneath a stack of napkins. The next Saturday, I could barely breathe as I walked into the bakery. Every step felt like walking a tightrope. He was there, behind the counter, and he looked nervous. He saw me and his face lit up, but it was a different kind of light, not the easy, carefree smile I was used to. He pulled me aside, away from the other customers, and said, "I got your letter." My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. I didn't know what to expect. Would he feel the same way? Would he be flattered but not interested? Would he be completely freaked out? He took a deep breath, his hands fidgeting with the corner of his apron. I didn't know," he said, his voice a little shaky, a little hesitant. "I mean, I liked you a lot. You're a great person. But a letter like that..." He paused, and my stomach dropped like a stone. I knew what was coming. The words hung in the air, unspoken but understood. "I'm really flattered," he continued, his eyes meeting mine, filled with a mixture of apology and sincerity, "but I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I'm focusing on my writing, trying to get published, and, well, it's complicated." He hesitated, then added, "There's someone else." The last two words hit me like a physical blow. I nodded, trying to hold back the tears that were threatening to spill over. "I understand," I managed to say, my voice barely a whisper, thick with unshed tears. He looked at me, his eyes filled with genuine regret. "I really like you," he said, his voice soft. "I really do. But not in that way." I forced a smile, a weak, trembling imitation of the smile I usually wore. "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. It hurt, more than I'd expected. It felt like a part of me had been ripped away. But I knew I'd survive. I had to. I still went to the bakery every Saturday, drawn by an invisible thread, a lingering hope that maybe, just maybe. But things were different. We still talked about books, about writing, about the weather, but the easy banter was gone, replaced by a slightly awkward politeness, a careful distance. I missed the way things used to be, the effortless connection, the shared laughter. But I knew I couldn't go back. I had crossed a line, and things would never be the same. Over time, the sharp edges of the pain began to soften. It didn't disappear completely, but it became a dull ache instead of a sharp stab, a quiet reminder of what could have been. I learned that sometimes love isn't reciprocated, that sometimes the person you fall for doesn't fall for you back. And that's okay. It's part of life, a painful but necessary lesson. I also learned that being vulnerable, even when it's terrifying, is important. I had put myself out there, laid my heart bare, and even though I got hurt, I didn't regret it. I had been true to myself, honest about my feelings. And that, in itself, was a victory. And who knows? Maybe someday, I'll find someone who loves me back, someone who sees me the way I saw Alex. But even if I don't, I'll always have the memory of that sweet, cinnamon-scented bakery, and the boy with the sunshine smile who taught me about love and loss, and the courage to be myself even when it hurts. And that, I realized, was a gift in itself. If you enjoyed this story, Please consider subscribing for more tales of love, loss, and the sweet taste of life.